Hello everyone, how are you doing today? This is your Meadow Hare, your one and only Meadow Hare for the day. And what we're going to be doing today is learning how to make a Goomba-like movement in Multimedia Fusion 2. Ready? Here we go. The first thing to do is create an active object. And we're going to draw a simple little Goomba here. Doesn't have to be good. Whoa, I don't know why that's on 5, but doesn't have to be good, just make a Goomba. Doesn't even have to have animation yet. So this tutorial is for Disthron, or Disthron, however you pronounce that. In one video he mentioned that he would like to know how to make a Goomba-like movement, and I said, "You want me to make a tutorial?" And he said, "Sure." So figure might as well make a very angry looking Goomba. And while you're in here, actually, after you set those hotspots there, go down here and create a new animation and call it Hitbox. And in here, just take your rectangle tool, just any color, and just plop in something like that and set the hotspot to the middle and the action point to the middle. There you go. Now you got a Goomba, but wait, there's more, because we have to add a bunch of values in there. First, make an alterable value, call it ID. Second, make an alterable value, call it grav for gravity. Third, make another value, call it horiz for horizontal. Make another one, call it grav add. Make another one, call it horiz add. And make one more, call it grav pull. And make sure you spell it right, because if you don't, I will wag my finger at you. Put a value in there, like apostrophe 12, but don't leave the apostrophe. Okay. So we are ready to start coding, believe it or not. So there's your Goomba. Go in here and for start, put start of frame, spread value 0 and ID. There you go. That's your first thing. Event number 2, say always. Add to grav add. I'm going to add the grav pull times 0.01. So what I just did there is we entered 12 for grav pull, or whatever value you put in there. It's going to add 1/100th of that, which is 0.12 to grav add. In turn, we're going to add the grav add. Oops, we're going to add to grav add. Alright, so we just put 2 levels of adding there. So 0.12 is going to be added to grav add all the time. Then all the time grav add is going to be added to grav. And then what we are going to do is run a loop. Actually, we're going to say when this thing's grav is different than 0, but before that we're going to copy an always event and run loop ID, and we're going to run it the absolute value, or the number of that thing's objects, number of objects of Goomba, number of instances of the object Goomba. Alright, and then we're going to say on loop ID, move it to the top or else it won't work. On loop ID, when its value of grav is different than 0, we're going to run another loop called grav. Now when you're doing this, assuming you're going to have another player object and everything in the frames, you should probably name the values something along the lines of, Goomba grav or G grav for Goomba or something like that. Because otherwise, if you have the loops with the same name as your player object, it'll get confused and mess everything up. So make sure you name your loops accordingly. We're going to run this loop, the absolute value of this thing's grav times. Now it's important that you put absolute value, because you can't run the loop negative times, and if the grav value is negative, it will mess everything up. Alright, now copy that down, and over here, we're going to set its grav value to its grav mod 1. I think I've explained what mod means before. It's like a modular addition, modular subtraction. It's the same thing you do when you tell time, actually. Like, say you have, okay, so it's 3:55 as I'm recording this. That is how many seconds? 235 minutes. Now you mod that by 60 because you can't keep dividing it by 60, and then you take the remainder, which is 55, and you get 355. So you're actually using mod all the time when you're telling time, but you just don't think of it as modular addition. But there's a little factoid. You use modular addition every day when you look at the clock. Alright, so we're doing the same thing for hors. When it's different than 0, we're going to start a loop, and this time call it hors. And we're going to play it, or run it, the absolute value of hors times. And then we're going to set its hors value to its own hors value mod 1. Whoops, not mod 4, mod 1. Alright, that's not going to do anything if we run it. Well, let's run it anyway. Oh, see? Nice angry Goomba. Alright. I don't know why it says close all the time whenever I do that. But anyway, continuing on. I'm going to start by saying on loop grav when this thing's ID. You might notice that this is very similar to the enemy AI tutorial I did way back when, several months ago. And you'd be right, this is extremely similar, but I figured I might as well make it anyway. This is actually a simplified version, and it doesn't have enemies bouncing, which is nice. So on loop grav, when it's still on the loop that's determining which Goomba's moving, and when the Goomba is not overlapping a backdrop, it's going to set its Y position to the Goomba's Y position plus parenthesis this Goomba's grav value divided by the absolute value of the Goomba's grav value, and then that's it. Sorry, my intonation suggested that there would be more stuff, but there wasn't. Now, what I just did there is a nice simple equation you can do to just make it go anywhere you want. Well, that wasn't a good explanation. Let's plug in some values. Say its gravity is 3, which means it's moving down at 3 pixels per frame. So if it's moving down 3 pixels per frame, it's because it's setting it to wow. If it is moving down at 3 pixels per frame, it is setting it to its Y position plus 3, the value of its grav, divided by absolute value of 3, which is its grav, and that equals 1. Because 3 divided by 3 is 1. However, if you have negative 3 divided by the absolute value of negative 3, which is positive 3, you are going to get negative 1. So that's why it works in either direction, and it's a very nice, concise way of saving time and events. To make it so when it hits a wall, it goes back in the other direction and doesn't get stuck in the wall, we're going to say when it is colliding with a backdrop, it's just going to send it 1 pixel away. It's also going to stop the loop grav, and it's going to set its grav to 0, and its grav add to 0. Alright, let's run it, see what happens. The Goomba fell. Oh my goodness, we're making so much progress. Alright, keep going. Do the same thing for hors. Hors, when its value is equal to that, and when it's not overlapping a backdrop, we're going to set its X position to its X position plus parenthesis its hors divided by the absolute value of its hors, 2 parentheses, and you're done. Alright, and then copy that. Just flat out copy and paste. Unnegate that. We're going to, I'm just going to copy this and say stop loop ors. And minus, change that to a minus. There we go. Alright, let's see what happens. Nothing. Know why that is? Because I didn't put anything in the ors add. Also, we didn't add the ors add, so we should probably do that. So always add to its ors add. Now, yes, it crashed into the wall and stopped, but it moves. And if you set it way up here, it'll move more. It falls on the ledge, boom, and it goes and falls on the ledge, boom, and it goes and falls on the ledge, boom, and it hits the wall, and it stops. So, how do we keep it from stopping? Actually, well, that's later. Okay, so actually, we need to make it so it bounces. So, simply stated, how we do that is we set its ors add to 0 minus its ors add when it hits the wall. Actually, that'll work actually. And now it falls on the ledge, boom, and it goes and falls on the ledge, boom, and it goes and falls on the ledge, boom, and it bounces, boom, and we're done. Alright, so that's how you do Goombas. But wait, there's more, because as you notice, it doesn't use its hitbox yet. Because when its little cheek, its chubby cheek, the chipmunk cheek, hits the wall, it just bounces back. Well, let's add another event. In fact, let's just slide that down, boom, and bring it back up here. And add a little piece to that and say, when, compare two general values from the special area, when its loop index of grav equals 0. So on the first loop out of all the loops it's running, it's going to set its animation to hitbox. And make sure you put that in all the events, because that's the reference, that's what's pointing to that specific Goomba, which will make sense in a few minutes, so be patient. So it changes it to wow, I cannot talk today. Changes it to its hitbox. Let's copy it and put it right there. And let's go in here and change it to ors. Like that. And that's it. And we're going to go boom. Oh, but wait. See, look. That's what's actually going on. Its hitbox is going like that. However, we have to change it so that it always changes its animation after all the loops have run to its stopped animation. That's probably not going to work actually, because I set it in the wrong spot. Put it after you run the loops. So it goes in here and runs all this stuff, and then reads always, change its animation back. That's why it's kind of not touching the floor now, because it's still running using the hitbox. You can change the position of the hitbox by simply going in here and changing the hotspot to a little higher. And now it'll go into the floor a little bit and settle right in and look all nice. Also, when it runs into the wall, its cheeks go a little bit through the wall, which looks nice. But this is no fun if there's not more than one Goomba. So what you can do right here is make 9 Goombas and just set them all over the darn place. And hit go. And it doesn't work. Well, why doesn't it work? Well, let's figure it out. Probably because I didn't put these in there. And that is the problem, because now you have a million Goombas running all around. So yeah, make sure you have this ID of this equals loop index ID and all that. And now you have infinite supply of Goombas that you can cause to run around. And they will all get stuck in the pits just like real Goombas. And there you go. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you learned something, understood everything. If you didn't understand something, feel free to let me know. by leaving a comment in the video comments. I will be sure to try and reply to you. That brings me to a little point I gotta mention to the 25% who are still watching, that I am going to not be recording very much in the next weeks because I have family coming for the winter time, specifically for the Christmas break that we're getting. So I might not be recording as much, but I do still have tutorials in mind. So yeah, I'll be on there replying to stuff. I just won't be recording as much. All right, that said, I've been rambling for long enough. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next video. Have a nice day.